Hello and welcome back to the Beyond Resistance Pod, where we share hard-won insights to build blue power and red communities and start winning. I'm Sarah Schultz.
And I'm Jennifer Austin. And today we are joined by a special guest, Shannon Downey. She is an artist, a craftivist, a community builder, and a general instigator who lives and works in Chicago. She's the founder of the Badass Cross Stitch and Seriously Badass Women. I'm loving the names. And she's also the author of Let's Move the Needle, an activist handbook for artists, crafters, creatives, and makers, which of course I absolutely had to read. I have talked about my craft stitching obsession for a while now. So I definitely had to read this. And you can find her at badasscrossstitch.com and seriouslybadasswomen.com. So welcome to the pod.
Yeah, welcome. I'm so excited for this conversation and just kind of pre-gratitude to you, Shannon, for all the amazing work that you do out in the world. All right, so our first question is the same all the time. What has you fired up today?
Yeah. My city has me fired up. They've had me fired up for months now. I was really curious. Like, we're a well-organized city. We're a city of activists. Like, I was not worried about ICE coming in and Midwest Blitz and all of that in terms of like that it would not meet resistance. But I never expected the level of resistance at every level that has been going on here in Chicago. It is just one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. I've never felt this close to my community, to my city, to my neighbors as I do right now as a result of just the absolute thrashing that they gave ICE while they were here. I mean, they're still here, but not on the macro level like they were for the last few months. So I've been super fired up about it and just like really grateful and excited to see what happens between now and like March when we expect them to come back. Because I think it will only be better, bigger, stronger.
Yeah.
The resistance to ICE, very inspiring, has also inspired me. Like we have on our website, we call it Resistance Tool Belt, and it's just like little graphics that give like a quick description of things that people can do for resistance, and they can use it for their social media, whatever they want to use. I want to add one. And I'm not sure what I'm going to call it yet. So far, like I was talking with some of our activist friends, and it's like petty and chaotic, disruptive, like different things, like the whistles that people in Chicago were handing out, and the people in California that are buying ice scrapers at Home Depot and returning them, and then buying them and returning them just to cause problems, like all of that stuff. That's a key part to resistance that I don't think everybody always thinks of, and being creative about it.
Yeah. I mean, like I literally at the beginning of this past year shifted my Patreon, which was pretty heavily craft focused the last few years. But I was like, no, everything is more important right now. Yeah. And so I launched the Joyful Menace Society.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I haven't seen that. That is awesome. I did look at all of your stuff, but I didn't remember seeing that.
Yeah, it's been really, really fun. And like, you know, I'm evolving it for next year and we're going hard, but it really is like joy has to be the centerpiece of any action, I think, for us to stay sane while we're living in this chaos and ridiculousness. And so I think that too has been one of the more beautiful things in Chicago is like, we're still doing it Chicago style, right? Like we're not going to wear frog costumes and dance like that. Like that's just not us. That's very Portland. We love it for them.
Yeah.
Ours is a little more intense, but like still centering like joy and mischief and just like how complicated can we make their jobs and their lives while they're here attempting to abduct our neighbors.
Yeah. So first of all, I love a good creative protest. So and this is the first I've heard of the ice scraper one, and that's amazing. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that. But there's just something, gosh, who is I can't remember who said this, so we'll have to put it in the show notes, but there's a famous quote that's something like, never underestimate the power of a community who's discovering what matters, right? And so
Yeah.
like we don't want to be doing all of, we don't want to have to live in a world where we have to do this type of resistance and all of these, you know, we have to do all these tactics and all of that stuff. And at the same time being in them, there's just something so powerful and life-giving about that. And when you infuse the element of joy, which is, you know, about like keeping us engaged, but it's also about showing, you know, our oppressors that like they don't own us, right?
Mhm.
We can still have joy in even as we were resisting and you know doing all this work out there. So super cool. And we haven't, you know, we're in the middle of Michigan. We're like on the cusp of super rural Michigan here, where we're coming from, and we've had some reports of ice in kind of neighboring cities, but nothing, of course, like we're seeing in Chicago and Portland and other places. So we're kind of living vicariously through all your amazing work out there. So thank you.
Yeah, I think too, Chicago knows that. Like we were like,
Mm.
oh, they're coming here hardest first. We have to, like, we are going to show what needs to be done
Set
and
the
how
standard.
it's done. Yeah, and I think that was a real vibe where everybody was just like, oh hell no, we have to throw down super hard
That's
right now
amazing.
in order to support the future communities who are going to be facing this. And now we're seeing Charlotte throw down different,
Yeah.
but just as hard. And
Yes.
you know, it's beautiful to see it sort of traveling the country, and where ice goes, resistance meets
Mhm.
that really.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just kind of builds. Well, what I'm fired up about is similar, similar topic, right? So in my day job, I work with nonprofits in a lot of sort of urban areas. So New York City and Detroit and Chicago and Seattle and LA and San Francisco. And I support their work in human resources and things like that.
Mm.
And in the last couple of weeks slash months, a lot of the work that I've been doing with my clients in the nonprofit sector has been around creating policies and procedures and trainings about what to do about ice should ice happen, right? And like what to do in a school if you're working in a school, and what to do if you're on the street, and what to do if you're in the office. And I'm super pissed about all of this because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of fear and concern. It's a lot of training. It's a lot of like headspace that it's taking up from these nonprofits who otherwise would be working on, you know, common sense gun legislation or, you know, providing education opportunities for folks who are marginalized or whatever else these really great organizations are doing, are having to divert their energy and time to this bullshit. And we're doing a good job, and we're making folks feel more equipped should anything kind of go down in and around them. But in my 25 years of HR, this has never been a topic, let alone a whole project, for multiple, you know, organizations, you know, across the country. So I'm fired up about that because just the amount of like just broadly the amount of time and energy and effort and money that's being spent dealing with this administration and their shit, when we could be doing other things. So I'm pretty fired up about that today, but we're doing some good work because we have to.
Yeah.
I think that's like a big point, is the amount of money and time that we have to deal with
Mhm.
this administration's shit. Like that encapsulates what is going on here. Just thinking about the art that can be made, the people that could be, you know, building a business or expanding their business or, you know, going to school or whatever, like the amount of things that are getting left by the wayside because we have to put our energy someplace else. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah. I literally spent September. I was like, well, I guess I'm not working this month. Like, you know,
Yeah.
any of my traditional work that I had planned and it was just like, no, I have to be out on the streets. Like I have to be patrolling my neighborhood. I have to be, you know, putting together trainings. I have to be leading. I have to be supporting. Like I'm so lucky to feel like, oh, I actually know what to do in these moments when so many people are like, oh my God, what do we do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, this is the moment, right? Where I have these tools, I have these skill sets, and now I have to drop everything in order to support and train and like get people to understand what's happening and what they can be doing and what's possible.
Yeah.
Then it's like, I mean, I've been sick for the last 3 weeks, you know, like there's no way that these things are not correlated. The amount
Absolutely.
and the things I normally do to decompress, like go take long walks. I take a ton of long walks. My long walks are now ice patrols, you know, like I can't just go out and
Right.
casually wander. I have a whistle on, I have a gas mask in my backpack. I'm like monitoring everything. I'm going to my gym and they're like, well, we're going to do some self-defense training because we know that y'all are out on the street. And I'm like, oh God, like just these things
You
that
can't escape it.
like there is no escape and it's awful. It's awful.
Well, I feel for you guys, and I hope things, you know, like assuming they come back again, aren't as bad, but I think we're all realistic enough to know that that's not the case.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I want to just like touch on something that you just mentioned, Shannon, which is like, you said something like, I know what to do, or I have the skills. And I think about that a lot because, well, my story is like, I didn't know what to do in 2016 and I've been learning, like I literally had no idea, like I was not in this space at all. And I think I and a lot of folks have learned since then. And so like the difference between our preparedness for this administration of this Trump administration compared to 2016 is just night and day, right? So where like, you know, it's chaotic and shock and awe and all of that coming from DC. And yeah, it's like maybe bigger and all the things. And also we're stronger, right, than we were back then because we have the advantage of having learned.
But also their preparedness is so much more.
Yes,
like
that's right.
they came in with a strategy that they made public, you know, and they have been like hitting and tackling and hitting and tackling. And so it's like the first administration, if they had come in this hard, then we would have been in much bigger trouble, for back to your point. But at the same time, I'm like, that was sort of a joke compared to what's happening now.
Yeah.
And so it's like, thank God that thank God that we had that first taste of it, which gross. I don't even want to be thankful for that, but given
it
what
prepared us
now, it did shift preparedness in ways that I think we should be really grateful that we have right now as a result of that.
Yeah. Sure. And I think like, you know, I heard a lot of pundits and podcasters and different people, and I've complained about this on our show before. Where are the protesters? Why are they not out there? What are they doing? And I'm like, we already know how to do this. We learned how to do this, and we needed a hot second to take our breath. And we're out there in our towns. So the big national media wasn't seeing and thinking that, oh, they're not protesting, but they were in Midland and in Gladwin and in Beaverton and like all these little teeny towns. And yeah, it was 100 here, 500 here, 1,000 here. But that's just because we're like, well, we don't have to go to Detroit. We don't have to go to Lansing. We don't have to go to DC. We can do it here. We've done it before. We know how to do it. So yeah, I think our reaction was different. And I don't think that national media and even like our alternative media, our independent media knew how to understand that because they're so much based in the big cities.
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
So what has me fired up? And I had one thing and then I had another thing. So I have two things and I'm sorry. And I'll try to make them as quick as I can. So my first thing is that, Sarah, I'm going through our video from Crooked Con and I'm going through the Sarah McBride video. And oh my gosh, that woman, She
Yeah,
gets me
she was
so
so good.
fired up. I'm
Yeah.
like clipping little things. Like I'm going to make, social media with her, it's got all her stuff in it. And oh, she just like, I'm like tearing up and getting excited. And I'm like, yes, let's go. So yeah, Sarah's definitely got me fired up there. But then the other thing that has me fired up is socialism. And I know that sounds like a weird thing, but it kind of cracks me up that since Zoran Mamdani has won and the establishment Democrats are like all like, oh, so scared of the word socialism. And that's just like giving the GOP and MAGA Republicans, et cetera, whatever label you want to give them, this fuel of like, let's label them all as socialists and socialists are evil and blah, blah, blah. And that is still dangerous. Don't get me wrong. There are people that are going to believe that and think that and use that as a label for us all. But the funny thing is I don't think they truly understand the landscape that's out there right now, because socialism to so many people doesn't seem so scary anymore. Like they understand that there are places in Europe where socialist policies or socialist government and not totalitarian or authoritarian, but there are socialist policies and people are understanding that. And also there's like, I think it was like 27% of Americans said that they were willing to try authoritarian government. Like that's how disillusioned people are with our government right now, that they are willing to try authoritarian, which I hard do not agree with. Just so everybody knows out there, but looking at socialist policies, like your roads are socialist, your schools are socialist, your hospitals are socialist, your social security, it's socialist, like all this stuff. And it just cracks me up that the GOP thinks they're going to drag us down with this. And I honestly think that they're really, really misreading the room on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's got me fired up.
I love it.
Yeah. I feel like there's a bumper sticker in the works that's something to the effect of want to go with something wild, try socialism and not authoritarianism or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just pick something different. If you got to pick something different, then let's go with socialism.
If you got to pick something different, go with socialism.
Oh my goodness. Well, Shannon, I'm so excited to dig into your work and your book. And speaking of your book, which is titled Let's Move the Needle, which is such a great title. I wonder if you could tell us about the idea of craftivism that you talk about in your book. So if you could just like share with us and our listeners a definition of craftivism, and maybe a few examples of projects now or historically that would be considered craftivism.
Yeah. Well, so craftivism is a new word for something that's been around forever, right? Coined in 2003. It came out of the fiber movement and therefore was like, had its base mostly in the fiber arts community and has branched out and expanded across all mediums and genres at this point. And, people kept calling me a craftivist when I started doing my work. And I was like, oh, interesting. I don't know what that is, but it sounds like what I'm doing. And, sort of tried to dive into it and was like seeing what people were doing and calling craftivism. And I was like, that's not really what I'm doing. Like, I don't quite vibe with this, but I do, but I don't. There was a discomfort in it that I wasn't quite sure what it was. And when I figured it out, that's when I was like, okay, this is the conversation that I want to be having with people. And this is why I wrote the book, really, which was, I think originally it was more like craft with a side of activism, I'll call it. And I was like, no, activism and craft is a tool to support work.
Yeah.
And so it's just a little bit of a paradigm shift, but I think it's like, for me, it totally changed how I thought about the work, and it really changed how I talk about it and how I use it and connect with people. So again, it's craft and activism mashed up together, like it's not a hard one to figure out and decode, but there are so many different ways that people are doing this. And that's what I find really exciting. And that's sort of the first couple chapters of my book is like, let's put some words to this. Let's put some categories so that we can start having these more in-depth conversations around the work. there's sort of the big well-known projects that people like. When I say the AIDS quilt, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, I think one of the most successful awareness campaigns around that came out of craftivism. If we think about like World War I and World War II, we can look at the Red Cross and be like, oh, right, they brought people together to knit, to make resources for the troops, and and then these groups became these sort of like community organizing spaces for folks who are at home, and that's really how I use the work, right? Like, I trick people into hanging out with me by being like, I'll teach you how to embroider, like, let's make crafts together, this is going to be so great. But that's never the point. Like, I want everybody to try it because it's fun and I can get you in a room and I can have conversation with you. And it's a great way for people to start exploring their voice and exploring their beliefs and their own identities through art in a like really accessible medium. Like, materials are like $5. I can teach anybody in under an hour, right? Like, this is not hard work. But for me, it's like, how can I use this thing that I like doing and that I know lots of people like to do to bring community to me? Like, I don't want to go door knocking. I hate door knocking. I think door knocking is getting more and more dangerous every day. And I'm just like, oh, I'm not interested in that. But can I put together an event that will bring people that like probably wouldn't get together to like talk about a local community issue or, a national issue, but would come together for a fun craft evening or, to make art. And then that becomes the space where conversations can start. And that becomes the base of a really important relationship and series of relationships that we can then replicate over and over and continue to build this community and continue to sort of like have the hard conversations with our neighbors in like a pretty low stress, low stakes space. So a lot of my work is about using it as a tool for community organizing. But there are a million ways that people are using art and craft as a tool within their activism.
That's so awesome. It reminds me of some of the things that we didn't call maybe craftivism here in Midland, but that we have done. Jennifer, I'm recalling some craft nights that you hosted in the last campaign season at the campaign office, kind of as a gateway for folks to sort of come in and enjoy each other's company, like share a skill or a talent or a love that they have, but then also maybe knock on a door later, or maybe get on the phones, maybe whatever else comes next. And by the way, totally agree that door knocking probably getting more and more dangerous, but definitely getting less and less effective in today's world. So I'm not sure how much longer Democrats can be like door-to-door salesman, right, for our candidates. So totally get you there. Yeah, Jennifer, do you want to talk a little bit about the craft nights that we had?
Sure, although I will say that I am not totally on board with you guys about door knocking. But that's okay. Like, we all have different opinions on it, and like, it'll play out and we'll figure it out. We're kind of in a space where we don't know what is going to work in the future, and we're still trying the old things, trying new things. Maybe it's a mix. We'll figure it out. But yeah, we did.
Let me just say, I don't think it's ineffective. I hate doing it.
I hate it too.
I'm never going to be the one that does it.
Yes.
But I don't. I'd never shut down the possibility of anything working, and this has historic roots of being something that works and whatever. So let me just clarify that.
Yeah,
I'm open to a big door knocking debate sometime, because I don't hate it, but I also think it's not effective. So
okay,
she says that, but literally those of us that worked with her on campaigns have seen her turn Trump voters to vote for her. But we'll leave that for the debate.
Okay.
But anyway, so we did craft nights where we had people come in and make friendship friendship bracelets.
Love
We've done coloring page days. We've had like making protest signs for people that couldn't come to the protest, but they made signs for other people. I'm trying to think, what else did we do? We did a bunch of stuff in the Harris campaign, and I can't remember what it all was. Definitely the friendship bracelets. I think we made some keychains, and then we like sold them for a couple bucks in our office, you know, to cover supplies. But mostly it was about bringing in those people. And our friend Laura, she was excellent at it. Like she would just tool around and talk to people, and like by the end she had half of them signed up to door knock or work in the office or put together campaign lit, like whatever, like. And I'm just like, girl, I'm gonna watch you work, because you're doing a master class here. But yeah, it's like a gateway. It gives people an opportunity to do something and feel like they're being useful. Sometimes for some people, you know, there are a lot of older people in our community that so want to help. That's where the postcard writing stuff, you know, comes in a lot of. Another thing we're not sure about the effectiveness of, but sometimes it's almost worth the money to give people something to do so that they feel part of the movement, because maybe they can't go out and knock doors, that kind of thing. And then also you can draw them in to potentially do other things.
Yep. I love that. Well done. So you're a craftivist. Congratulations.
Yeah. I feel I set this aside here with me. I'm a cross stitcher. I actually have an Etsy page where I sell subversive cross stitch patterns. And this is one of mine. See if I can get it in here. Equal rights or I bite.
Oh my God, it's adorable. Well done.
I haven't put him or her. I haven't decided who she is yet on a frame, but she's gonna go back here.
How long did that take you? This is why I don't cross stitch anymore.
I don't remember. I love cross stitching, and it's kind of I found that especially after the last election, I just sit there and doom scroll, even while we're watching TV. And so I said, I think it was Aaron Ryan on the Hysteria podcast was like, I'm going to take up needlepoint because I have to have something to do with my hands. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, that's it. It's my addiction to my phone. It's my need to feel completely involved. I can't just sit here and watch TV with my husband. I have to be doing something. So I took cross stitching back up. So I don't care how long it takes me. It keeps me off my phone.
Love it. Love it. I feel like I've ruined the word cross stitch, because now like folks who don't know fiber arts are like, oh my God, I love your cross stitch to like everything. And I'm like, ooh, sorry.
Yeah, no.
I use cross stitch. Now I mostly embroider. Let's have a conversation about the difference.
my friend Elena will send me pictures of projects that she sees that she thinks are cool. And I'm like, that's lovely, but I haven't learned how to embroider yet. She's like, what's the difference? Like, there is.
Girl, you're coming to one of my workshops.
Oh, I would love to. I do want to learn how to embroider. It's just, I also have like this, I have a hard time getting over the hurdle of like, I've got to learn it. I'm going to make mistakes. I got to find the time,
to learn embroidery.
1 hour and a half. That's all you need.
Awesome.
1 hour and a half with me, you will be creating staggering works of genius.
That sounds like an excellent reason to come to Chicago.
Yes. I do them online too. You don't even have to leave your house.
But I want to come to Chicago.
More fun.
Chicago's like 4.5 hour drive. So
yeah, no problem. 4.5 hour drive for an hour and a half tutorial. That should be fine.
That's right. Totally.
Okay, so in your book, you have a whole section where you talk about getting uncomfortable. And that is something Sarah and I really identify with in activism, and I think you do too. Can you tell us what you mean by that and how our listeners can apply that to their own activist journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when I look at the other activists in the world that I admire and hold to the highest of esteem, and when I was coming up and wanted to learn from them and emulate, the number one thing that I kept seeing was God, they're so self-aware. They just nothing can really rattle them. They're so confident, and maybe self-assured is a better framing of it than confident. But just this real understanding of self and this idea of I know what I stand for, and I am it is so intrinsic in me, and it's so deeply rooted in me that I can have any conversation, like, you know, like I can sit in discomfort, I can sit in conflict and not come apart. And that was really fascinating to me because I did not grow up that way. And so for me, it was like, how do I get there? How do I figure that out? And I saw my activism shift and change and grow as I spent more time getting to know myself, like understanding what my triggers are, why am I reacting to this? Like, and for me, it was putting myself in uncomfortable situations over and over and over until like they stopped being uncomfortable. And like I joke now that like you can pretty much put me anywhere and I'll have fun. like it's really hard to make me uncomfortable. Or for me to get like that feeling. And I feel like I've just pushed myself so hard in the discomfort that like my comfort zone is like way out here now as compared to when I was sort of new at this and young. And so I'm constantly just challenging people to like make yourself uncomfortable. Like we literally have to do this. I don't mean unsafe. I mean uncomfortable. I mean, like if the idea of eating alone at a restaurant is like terrifying to you and you're like, what will people think? What will I do with myself? Like go to a restaurant right now and have dinner by yourself and sit in it and like observe yourself and see how it feels. And what are you thinking? Are you worried about what other people are thinking about you? Like really for me, the root of like a strong activist lifestyle and a strong activist mindset is just like this real willing to be uncomfortable in order to grow your own comfort zone so that you can do this work with the confidence that you want to see from somebody who's saying, I believe in this, I stand for this, and I'm going to take action to make sure that this thing happens.
I love that so much. And for the record, taking myself out to dinner sounds like heaven on earth to me.
Oh, I know. I know. That's like, can I please?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one thing that I really had to work through. I'm an introvert and have always been very self-conscious and like I wish I could go back to my poor little teenage self and make her be the confident person that I am now. Obviously, a lot of that comes with age, but also exposure. You know, I try to tell people, you know, just go to that first meeting or that event or that protest, whatever it is that you think like, I don't belong there, I wouldn't know what to do. Just come for a little while. You'll find out that everybody belongs. It's not something that you have to be afraid of. And sometimes it's being there by yourself. Sometimes you make friends. You continue to grow through that. And the same thing with you know, back to door knocking. I hate I don't mind talking to people. When they would come into our campaign office, I would sit down, I can have a conversation with them. Nothing bothers me about that. It's the going into their territory, I think, that sort of like bothered me. But also, if you just do it, you feel better about it. You know, whatever it is that scares you about, you know, activist work, you just try to do it. Have a buddy if you have to. That can always make it better. But yeah, just getting yourself uncomfortable in those situations so you become comfortable.
I also like that just reminds me of like the cutest story ever. When I was doing a workshop in Minnesota, and you know, it was like everybody was there on their own, right? Like nobody came with anybody. And like I know that my job as a facilitator is to make everyone feel welcome, seen, and comfortable immediately. Like I don't want anybody walking in there feeling like I don't know where to go, I don't know who to talk to, I'm going to go sit in the back and see what happens. Like absolutely not at my workshops. And so this one gal came in and she was so timid, and I watched her hesitate at the door for a minute, and I was like, okay, game on, you know? So I like went right over, introduced myself, was like, I'm so glad you're here. Come on over. I was just talking to this person. I sat her down. I introduced her to this person, you know, whatever. She has the best time. She's like so participatory. It's great. At the end, she was just like, she's like hanging around a little bit at the end. And I'm like, oh, she wants to tell me something. This is great. So I went over and I was like, did you have a good time? And she's like, and then she just starts crying. And she's like, I had the best time. And I just need you to know that I sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes, psyching myself up to come in here because I almost turned around like
That's
10
amazing.
times. And I came in and I was so nervous. And she's like, I'm so proud of myself right now. And I'm like, I'm so proud of you. You know, like it was just one of those like gorgeous moments. And then like later she went to her car and recorded a video about like, just do it, you guys. I did it. And like I had the best night ever. And like, like
I
it's
love that so
great.
much.
I'm like, I've never been so proud of anybody in my life as I am of you right now. Like, good job.
That's so amazing. I love
Mhm.
that. And I love that you're talking about discomfort in a way that is not like either you were born to be an extrovert and totally fine, or you were not and just forget about it. Like, I love that you're talking about it as like, it's going to be uncomfortable and then it's going to be slightly easier the next time. And it's going to be something that you can work on, like a muscle that you can build. And as you were talking, I was picturing, like you said, like my comfort zone when I was a teenager was smaller. And it's almost like you're like pushing it out, like you're literally like working to push it and expand your comfort zone as you like put yourself in uncomfortable yet safe, right, situations and learn from them, learn that you survived, learn that even if you were embarrassed, like you still learned something. I love that term. I love thinking about discomfort in those terms so much. So I just appreciate it. And I also like, one of the things that Jennifer and I talk about when in the space of discomfort is the discomfort of not being liked, right?
Yeah.
And in the activist space, you're not like, of course, like we have opposition and like we're for sure not liked by opposition. And those folks are easy to like get over as far as not being liked. But even within our spaces, like especially if you're in leadership positions, sometimes you have to make decisions that not everyone's happy about. And sometimes, you know, perceptions of you get formed by different factions that are not exactly accurate or not aligned with your own self-view, and that's hard and that's uncomfortable. And the more that you can kind of survive, especially if you're a political candidate like I have been in the past, there's a lot of folks who dislike me just because they got a thing in their mailbox that told them to. And so the discomfort of not being liked is also a part of this work. And it's something to just name and like also experience and live through and grow through as well, so that you can kind of like widen that comfort zone.
Yeah. I mean, the number of people that dislike me are immense.
Same. Same.
I feel like
Unfortunately, same with us, and it's like within and without the movement.
yes, all of the above.
Yeah.
Anybody who has a social media platform knows what it feels like to be disliked.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially women also are sort of, were raised to want to, you know, be people pleasers and, you know, have folks like us and like the way we look and like, you know, who we are. And that's really hard. And, you know, we know folks who are still struggling with that, even as they are in leadership positions. So thank you for like putting it in those terms. It's really helpful to think about this idea of expanding your comfort zone is not just something that you're born with, but that you work on through actively putting yourself into spaces of discomfort and learning. So I appreciate that a lot.
It's muscle, it's practice, it's rehearsal, it's everybody can get there. It's like this weird obsession with like cringe now. Like nobody wants to be cringe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, 90% of what I've done in life has been so cringe when I look back at it, sometimes right in the moment. But like, that's how I learned. That's how I did different. That's how I got better. That's how I got more strategic. That's how I got, you know, pushed the comfort zone. And it scares me, honestly, this pushback against cringe or really vulnerability.
Yeah.
I think I've lived the majority of my life trying to avoid cringe because I was afraid of cringe. And now when cringe is on the out, I'm like living in the cringe. How cringy can I be today on social media or out in public? And my kids are like, oh my God, Mom.
I was just going to say our children are not happy about that at all.
That's real. But you're showing them, you're teaching them, you're modeling that like you don't have to care.
Yeah.
Like there's so much to care about and so many things we care about that we should not care about. And that's just learning.
So, well, speaking of learning, one of the things that we kind of hold on to is this idea of curiosity. And that's something that you kind of hold close to your purpose in your book and things that you talk about also. Wonder if we could switch and if you could talk with us about curiosity and like how that concept fits into your concept of activism and the work that you do.
Yeah, I don't know how you can be an activist without so much curiosity, right? Because we like our job is to see through the bullshit. It's to see through systems. It's to see through the sludge and the training and the socialization and say that feels weird. Let me explore this more and see like what I can figure out about this. And I don't know how you can be an activist like afraid of being cringy or like to have to feel like you're an expert all the time, which I think is a social media thing too. Like you have to be an influencer, you have to be an expert, you have to be with confidence, and you have to know, and you can't go back once you've made a choice. And that is so damaging and so not interesting to me, right? Like I tell people all the time, the more I know, the less I know. Like the more I know, the more questions I have. And there are things that I know from years of looking at myself and looking at these things that where I'm like, oh, that's a no for me. That is not happening. But there's so much where I'm like, oh, what a weird take they have on that. I should listen to what they have to say, understand how they got there, because I know how I got here. And if I can understand how they got there, maybe there's a connection there, or maybe I'll learn something different that I missed in my journey. And so I think that the curiosity has got to be there, or we're going to end up sounding as radical as the radical right. You know what I mean? Like if we can't be curious about, like, I can look at somebody and be like, oh, I can totally track how you got there. I can totally understand how you place. And it's going to be a long journey to support you in unlearning and relearning some things, but I can see how you got there. Like that's not hard. And so, yeah, I fight back against that, like influencer expert, anti-cringe, like nonsense that's happening right now, where I'm just like, no, let's find some more curiosity here. Like, let's be okay getting a little uncomfortable and being curious about it instead of just shutting it down and being absolutely not. I know.
That's one thing that, not to keep harping on the door knocking. I don't know why I keep coming back to this, but
and another thing.
I know it's ridiculous because I don't like it. I don't like door knocking. I really, really don't. But I have lately really been thinking about wanting to do it and literally wanting to go to doors that are not Democrats and just have a conversation. Like, what are the things you care most about? What's your view of Democrats? Like, why do you think that? Can we talk? But it's going to have to be with people that are willing to do it. And maybe that's better in focus groups. I don't know. But I really find that, and our last guest last week, Jamie Piles, who is from Virginia and has worked on campaigns in Virginia and helped flip some seats. That's one of the things she talked about, was how she really just talked to everybody and got really in depth with who they were. And that takes time. So I get that that's maybe not the best use of our time. And I don't know how many votes that ends up changing, but I find myself really wanting to talk to people. Like I've thought about really sitting down with my mega dad. And that's super scary. But also I think about who I thought he was as a person. And I really want to like understand, how do you justify this?
Yeah.
And I think that's part of my curiosity growing, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I haven't quite reconciled how I'm going to deal with that. But that's one of the things I really like about curiosity and connecting with people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you made an interesting point around like that takes time, and that how many votes is that going to get us? And like, I totally get that. And at the same time, I'm like, this is all the longest game, right?
Yes.
Like, we are not flipping anything right now. Like right now, it's like, I feel like it's, there has to be so much repair and so much building to change the dynamic of what's happening in this country. And it is such a slow, long game of interpersonal connection. The other thing I thought about was like when you were saying you want to sit down with your dad, I'm like, oh, don't start with him.
I don't know if I don't know if I have the guts to do it. So I put it out in the universe, but I'm not sure that's really on my list.
I feel like start with some strangers first and then work up to the generational trauma.
What you're saying about curiosity is reminding me of, well, just is making me think about the opposite being like judgment like closes doors and curiosity opens doors. And like what you're saying about, I notice, right? There's this like technique that you can use that's just called I notice and I wonder, which is like, if you see something, rather than jump to judgment, like you're, talking about ICE, like it's, you're using the word illegal alien, right? Like there's a snap judgment there that's easy to make and just like discount that person forever, which is very tempting. And there's also a way to just notice and then wonder and hold curiosity, right? So it's like, I noticed that you're, posting a lot about ICE. I wonder if that's coming from a place of fear. Can you tell me about that? Right. So like holding open the possibility that like there's some undercurrent that's influencing the behavior, like the top surface behavior that you're seeing, that you can kind of unpack and understand and maybe like get to the bottom of in terms of like finding common ground and all of that stuff. So yeah, staying curious is a lot of work. It's easier to shut the door. Like it's easier to just be like judge that person for that one Facebook post and move on. But holding open curiosity and noticing and wondering, longer process, harder for sure, but maybe it's gonna give us what we need as a society in the end.
I think too, like, I think back to being like a baby gay and like, so now I'm of a certain age. So I came up in a different time. And like, I know that I had people who loved me who used all the wrong words all the time and said all the wrong things. And like, if I had just if I had just been like, oh my God, I'm done with you.
Yeah.
Like I would have had no one. And so it was almost forced on me and like self-preservation that I had to be like, okay, look, we're not really using that word, and here's why. And like this is a replacement word. So like you said this, and I'm super curious about like where that came from. I say I'm so curious about this all the time. Like that's how I start most sentences. Like I'm really curious about why this.
Yeah.
And so I think that like I was trained really young out of like survival, that like, oh, I don't have the luxury of just cutting all of these people off. Like I sort of be this ambassador for all queers, so, in this space right now. But I think it was really great training for me because, now they're not, well, not necessarily using these words against me, but they are. But, like I'm so desensitized to the idea of like, a triggering word, because I'm like, they might just not know. Like, that's fine. We have to have a conversation about words. Fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that your comment inspired my recollection that I think that some of it came from there.
Yeah.
That's one thing that Sarah McBride in the video I was, going over this morning. One of the things she said was talking about how if we cut people out of our lives who have a different view than us, and we decide, oh, you're not worthy of being included in my life because of this one bad view or these multiple bad views, you lose the opportunity to connect with them. And if everybody that they know that doesn't share those views disconnects from them, then they lose the opportunity to ever learn anything different. So it's almost, and I will never tell somebody that, as a queer person, it's your job to educate the people around you. Like, I don't mean that by any means. Some people do have to cut people out of their lives for their own mental health and their safety. Totally understand that. But especially if you have straight privilege, white privilege, etc., and or you have the strength and the ability to deal with it, being able to continue to be in people's lives and show them a different path is a gift you can give them and to the rest of us.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, we can't all do it, and we can't all do it with everybody, right? I've cut tremendous numbers of people out of my life, right?
Yeah.
I trust that somebody else will handle them. I will handle the ones that I can handle.
That's right. That's right. And just a quick note for listeners who might not know. So Jennifer's talking about Congresswoman Sarah McBride from Delaware, who I believe is the first openly trans member of the U.S. Congress.
Yes.
And we had the privilege of meeting with her communication staff a couple of weeks ago when we visited DC and got to sit in her office, which was really cool.
We almost got to meet her at CrookedCon, but she was talking to, I'm going to assume, a trans young person. They might have been non-binary. I don't know them, so I don't know where they were at, but we were kind of edging up trying to get to talk to her, and this young person comes kind of up and gets to talk to her, and her staff's like, we really have to go. And she's like, okay. And continues to talk to this young person. And I don't know what you thought, Sarah, but I remember thinking, I am not in any way, shape, or form going to try to get in between this situation. This young person gets to talk to Sarah, and we will walk away.
That's right.
Give them their moment.
Right.
So next question, and I'm gonna kind of rephrase it from how we often do. Like, we normally ask, like, how would you advise people to build blue power in their communities? And I don't want to assume that you are a Democrat or that you're interested in building blue power. I know you're in Chicago, so that's, a little bit of a different situation. But how would you advise people to build, power in their community around their issue or their candidate or their whomever, like whatever it is that they are trying to the momentum that they're trying to build? How would you advise them to build that power?
I am a big fan, as you can tell, of bringing people together, and doing it in benign ways, around things that people already like doing individually and or in groups. So like, for me, embroidery is my jam. So I bring people together mostly in embroidery. Sometimes it's like learning how to spray paint. Sometimes it's zines, right? Like, we do a bunch of different things to reach different audiences. But it's a one-to-one game here, right? Like, this is a hyper local, neighbor to neighbor community thing that I think we've lost a lot of. And so, and I also see that we're trying to get it back, right? And it's really exciting for me to see that. It was exciting to see the shift in Chicago over the last few months, and just like, I can't even tell you how many of my neighbors I know now. And like, I had to work really hard to just meet the people in my building. And there's only 6 units, you know what I mean? Like, prior to that. And now, like, I know neighbors, right? And I think that, like, that's the game, right? It's like bringing people together, finding ways to do it. Is it a community potluck? Is it a whatever? Like we just need to give people the opportunity to sit in a room and connect with each other. And it doesn't always have to be around an issue or a topic, right? Like we can build to that. And sometimes I think we have to be, I know we have to be playing the long game, right? Like we have to be connecting with people. So it's like, okay, come together. I'll teach you how to embroider. We'll embroider. We'll talk a little bit. You'll have so much fun. And then I'm going to say, hey, I host a monthly crafternoon, and you're invited and it's free. And you know, the next one is this date and it's here. And people are like, oh my God, yes. Then I can finish this piece there that I started here. I'm like, yes. Right. And so we're just like continually creating space for these people to come together. And then, you know, when we need them to take action around something, when we are ready to have a conversation about what's happening, like there is a foundation of connection. There is a foundation of respect, and desire to be in the same space with these people, that like those conversations can happen, like a lot more fluidly. Plus, like when you're doing something, when you have an activity, there's so much less pressure, right? Like it really brings the temperature in the room down. It's not like we're get together to talk about abortion and I'm going to be looking at you, we're going to be talking about, like, no, I'm making something. It's slow, it's like calming activity. We're usually in a circle. We're not, none of the body cues are there. I'm not making eye contact. I'm working on something, but we're still having a conversation. So like if somebody gets triggered by something, there's no expectation that they're going to respond to everything or be a part of the conversation the whole time, because they can just go back to what they were working on and take a beat. And that's what we need. We need to create spaces where people are free to like not immediately respond, not let that trigger force them to say something that's going to escalate things. Like to really go introspective for a minute and think about like, oh, what did they say that just triggered me? Do I want to respond? Do I not want to respond? If I do respond, what do I want to say? Or do I want to ask a question? Like these things happen in these rooms. And like, if nothing else, like people are learning how to be in space with strangers talking about things, which is honestly a skill set that is being lost. And so for me, it's like, what's the long game? And also like, how are we connecting? How are we building relationships? Because that's where the change lives.
I love that. And one, I think that's super important, the long game. And that's what Sarah and I are doing, is we're helping people build for the long game. And two, I want to go plan a neighborhood picnic next summer.
Yes.
I've been thinking about it for years, since we had this lady that always planned a community holiday event in early December, and we would all go to her house and everybody would bring a dish. And I only got to go to like one or two of those when we moved in. And then after that, she had stopped. And I've been thinking about that, like wanting to do a neighborhood picnic. I don't want everybody in my house. I want to do it outside.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. There's something that we're launching. It's going to be the last Saturday of every February from here on out, but it starts in February, and it's called International Analog Day. And so we have been building up to this, like, what can we create to give people the experience of planning something to bring people together that's like low lift, high success rate, but also like support them in the idea of like, you are going to be the leader here. You are going to bring people together. You are going to build this thing. And what does it mean to bring community together, and how do you do it? And so we're literally launching it next week. For everybody to do. But it's like, these are the projects that I like. It's like I'm listening, I'm seeing, and I'm like, what's the need here? Like, what do we need to do, and how do we support people in figuring out? Like, I heard from so many people like, oh, I would love to do like a workshop at my local library, but I just like, I don't even know how to start it, or like a drop-in craft thing or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, it's so easy. You just call them. And I'm like, oh, that's not helpful. I know how to do these things. And so this whole toolkit, and it's really like let's give people the tools and give them an opportunity to do it where they're not on their own trying to like do this by themselves. It's part of something larger. But then let them, use that as a launching point. So, an indoor picnic is February and
I was going to say, you're not outdoors for this one, not in Chicago.
No. We're going to be inside for this one, real cozy.
So awesome. And what you're talking about is reminding me of like the first year of doing this work in Midland, because where we live has always been known as very conservative space. And so many people who lived here thought that they were the only one who was not conservative.
Yeah.
And so we had this experience of like finding each other for the first 2 years or so, where, you'd hold space and then people would come together, and then like two neighbors would be in the same space and be like, I didn't know you and I didn't know. And then they just like hug each other. I mean, that still happens once in a while here, but less and less, because we've been able to like find each other and realize that nobody's alone. Nobody is a blue dot here in Midland, because we're pretty powerful when you can just recognize each other and start to build community that way. So yeah, I totally agree. And whatever momentum or inertia that you have for activism will die on the vine if you're lonely.
Totally.
It just will.
Totally.
It just will.
Gorgeous.
Awesome. So here's the fun question we can end with for today. I would love to know if you could share just one craft project that was a disaster or an almost disaster. So each of us think about a craft project that was a disaster or an almost disaster.
Okay. I've got mine.
Okay, go for it, Shannon.
It was an almost disaster / total disaster to me, but not to the general public's perception of it. I have been working on this massive piece like for years, like 10 foot by 8 foot piece that was going to be part of a solo show at the National Liberty Museum in Philadelphia. And so I had to like have this piece done, and I've been working on it forever. And it got to the part where I finished all the stitching and I had to get all of the like base layer off. So I had like, there were layers but the base layers had to come off for this to work. And you're supposed to soak it, and I'm soaking it, and it's literally like destroying the fabric I'm like freaking out because I have 1 week to this show. It's one of the bigger pieces. It's the centerpiece of the show that they've like literally built a casket for it to go on. and I'm like living in my RV at the time. So I'm like doing this at a college, and I'm freaking out. And I call a buddy who like is obsessed with laundry. He just is. I don't know. And I was like, dude, I don't know what to do. And he's like, oh my God, hit up the laundry guy on Instagram. And I was like, okay. So I like messaged the laundry guy on Instagram, and he's telling me all these things to use, and I'm trying them all and nothing's working. I got it to like, it was an embarrassing space. It was displayed. Everybody was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I was like, oh, I fucking hate it. And like the minute that show was over, I like balled it up and was like, nope. And I remade it over the next 2 years. Wow. And now it's gorgeous.
That is so funny, because I would so do that. And I sometimes see art and I'm like, I wonder if that is intentional or if it got fucked up and they went with it.
The answer is almost always the latter.
And my craftivism story is very similar to yours. So we were in the Santa parade last weekend, and we decided, and the theme of the Santa parade was sounds of the season. So then I was like, okay, we're going to do the sounds of freedom. And there was supposed to be, I'm going off on this story, that this is like, whatever. Anyway, the soundtrack was supposed to be like the caw of an eagle and the wind through the mountains and then patriotic music. And this lady made us one, but I couldn't get it to work. So that's not my craftivism problem. So it didn't have that. We just played Christmas in America over and over and over again. Anyway, So it was this whole thing with like, we had a huge Constitution and a huge Bill of Rights and a Statue of Liberty and red, white, and blue everywhere. And we made the Liberty Bell. And it's a cardboard barrel, and then we like put cardboard fins around it and paper mache and duct tape and spray paint. It looks like shit. I hate it so much. It does not look like the Liberty Bell. It's not the shape of the Liberty Bell because I didn't look up the fucking Liberty Bell before I made the damn thing. And I'm looking, and my kids are like, first they're like, that looks like a rocket ship. And then they're like, that does not look like the Liberty Bell. And like back and forth. And my friends that are all helping me, they're like, it's fantastic. It's wonderful. We went through the parade. Not a single person said, that's not the Liberty Bell. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, the Liberty Bell. So like, to me, it was a total disaster. We're now talking about using this entire float setup for the Memorial Day parade. And I went and put all the stuff in our storage shed, and I'm seriously thinking about rebuilding that whole thing so that it actually is the accurate measurements of the Liberty Bell.
Amazing. Amazing. See, I'm a big fan of the like show it and then do it again, fix it. Never.
I have permission now. Don't tell Laura and Kelly I'm doing this, Sarah, because they're going to be mad at me behind I do it.
They're going to know. They're going to listen.
They will, because I'm going to call them over to do the paper mache because I hate paper mache.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, in both of your stories, also one learning is like what you think is terrible, the rest of the world thinks is totally great and fine and whatever. Like that's you have your own internal critics that are not everyone else. I have a very quiet project that I can share. So I like to craft with like natural things. So like stone and rocks and seashells and driftwood. I really love driftwood. I just love the angles of the gnarliness of it. And I like to think about the journey the driftwood took in the lake or the ocean or whatever. So I made this elaborate arch for our deck that has an awning on it. It's this elaborate like arch with driftwood, and it was gorgeous. Well, the birds thought it was gorgeous too, and they loved nesting in that elaborate arch, which at first I thought was so cute and quaint because of bird nests, but also bird poop constantly. So, and I did not think about the whole like, this thing is going to make bird nests, and bird nests mean bird poop and all of that stuff. So I took a picture of it and then I took it down. So, but it was gorgeous and elaborate and really, really neat. So
it sounds lovely.
Example, yeah. Well, Shannon, thank you again so much for all the amazing work that you're doing, and just thanks for bringing your stories to this space of Chicago, especially everything that you all are dealing with now, and know that we are supportive of you here in Michigan and following along as we are learning from you and everything that you're trying out and succeeding with in these times, and also just obviously all the amazing work that you do related to craftivism and otherwise. Really appreciate learning from you today.
Thanks. I had so much fun. It was great to meet both of you.
And thank you so much for coming on. I knew this was going to be a long one. That's why I asked you about time limits, because I'm like, we're going to get in this space. We did the same thing with Jamie last week, where we're talking about our stuff. Like, you know, we're people that connect. And I'm like, we're going to be on here forever.
Longest podcast ever.
Well, again, thanks so much. And thanks everyone for listening to the Beyond Resistance pod, where we share hard-won insights to build blue power and red communities and start winning. And until next time, check us out at our website, beyondresistancepod.com. Right? I always get that wrong. I always like stop at the end. Beyondresistancepod.com. All right.
And
thanks, everyone.
I always like to interrupt Sarah before she's done here, but I'm going to add more stuff to the website because of course I do. But I've been wanting to do this, is add like a resource page, and people like Shannon and her book and her, her different, like the badasscrossstitch.com and seriouslybadasswomen.com, that sort of stuff. Like, it's going to be on there. So take a look for that, because we've been meeting so many amazing people that are doing such awesome work out there that we want all of you to share in it.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.